Did you just buy a new propane gas grill, but you're having a hard time getting started? Every single time you turn it on, it makes you nervous because it seems to be throwing flames at you and it's prone to grease fires. Well, in this video, I'm going to recommend some accessories, but I'm also going to go over some common mistakes that beginners make, which should hopefully help you better get to know your new propane gas grill. Let's dive in. So the first thing you should do with any new grill, whether it's gas, charcoal, or pellet, you have to do the initial burn off. And you always want to refer to the manufacturer's instructions, but generally speaking, the burn off or the initial burn off is basically going to burn off all the manufacturing grease or the shipping grease that the manufacturer used to get this grill over to you. And it basically consists of starting the grill and turning it on the highest setting, usually above 500 degrees Fahrenheit for roughly 40 minutes or so. You'll see a little bit of smoke and you'll see all that grease burning off. And then I generally like to wipe it down and make sure it's clean. Okay, now if I'm being honest, I'm not really a propane gas griller. I prefer charcoal grills. That's my main fuel source. But I did start on propane gas grill. So I have a lot of experience with it. And before I transitioned over to charcoal grills, I learned a lot starting with propane gas grills. So let's talk about some of the pros and the cons between gas propane grills and other fuel sources like charcoal or pellets. Okay, so let's start off with some of the pros. Propane gas grills are convenient. There's no question about that. You can get started almost instantly. You don't have to fumble with charcoal or pellets or doing an initial start or anything like that. You turn on the knobs, similar to how you'd use your stove indoors, turn on the grill, light it, and you're pretty much ready to go in 10 to 15 minutes. They're also really easy to use, just like your stovetop indoors. You have knobs, you can adjust the heat at your will. And there's usually a lot of cooking space, like the gas grill that I have here, the 6-burner. You can get a lot done in this 6-burner gas grill. Not to mention they have a lot of curb appeal. They look great. And this particular model here has LED lights which light up, and at night it looks gorgeous. It also has a see-through window with the stainless steel accents and all that. And if you want to have a flashy grill, you can put this right next to your pool and it's going to stand out. But that's kind of personal preference because there's also some charcoal grills and pellet grills that look really nice as well. And I just got to mention this whether you agree with me or not, but I think Hank Hill from King of the Hill would agree with this next pro. They're clean burning. Taste the meat, not the heat. And lastly, regarding pros, and I kind of mentioned this already, but I'll mention it again, temperature control is really easy with gas grills. So is the cool down. You don't have to wait a long time for this grill to cool down. Turn off the knobs, and within 10 minutes or maybe 15 minutes or so, you can put the cover back on. And now let's talk about some of the cons. You really have to keep propane gas grills clean. And that actually feeds into the next big con. They are prone to grease fires. And that's just by design. For example, in comparison to a charcoal grill, like the Weber kettle grill, if you have a grease fire there and you put the lid back on and close all the vents, you will suffocate the grease fire within 30 seconds, but you won't suffocate the charcoal. You can take the lid back off, open up the vents, and your charcoal should be fine. You can continue cooking. By design, a gas grill, because of the vents in the back, it needs to feed air to mix with the propane gas to cause ignition. Those vents are always open, so there's always airflow going in. Grease fires are more likely and harder to put out, but I'll talk about grease fires in detail later. And gas grills wouldn't be my first choice for smoking. Sure, you can buy a smoke box and so forth, but charcoal grills and pellet grills do a better job. And I know I had this as a pro, that they're very versatile, but it's also a con. They're not very versatile in certain aspects, like smoking. And the last con that I can think of is they're expensive. The cost of entry is much higher than a charcoal grill. There's more parts, so it's more prone to breaking. And I don't know a lot of people that necessarily pass down their gas grill. Usually they have a shelf life of like 5 years, maybe 10 if you really take care of them, but there's more pieces to break. Whereas a Weber kettle grill can be passed down from generation to generation. You'll find Weber kettle grills that have outlasted people, that are from the 70s, that are still being sold at yard sales all over the world. Okay, now let's talk about some common mistakes. The first major common mistake is not understanding how to use these knobs. You do not need to crank the heat all the way all the time. Take your time. Use these knobs. They're a blessing. control your heat accordingly. There's very little times when I'm actually cranking the knobs on full blast on high heat. I usually have it somewhere in a happy medium. You have 6 burners on this grill. You don't need all 6 burners on high heat. That's just gonna burn your food. It's gonna collect more debris, more grease, and you're gonna have a grease fire. So be sensitive to these knobs and temperature control. You can't forget about the fundamentals of cooking just because you're on a barbecue grill. And likewise, don't be ashamed to use a smoke box. This one's really dirty. I use it all the time. But using a smoke box will add in flavor. It's always a good thing when you have flavor. Use your accessories to your advantage. Don't care about what other people think. Speaking of accessories, a rotisserie is an excellent accessory. Rotisserie chicken is absolutely delicious. Okay, now this next one is really important, but another very common mistake that people make is not keeping their barbecue grill clean, both on the outside and the inside. As you can see here, my grill is filthy and it's actually due for another cleaning. But before I cleaned it, I wanted to show you how dirty it can get. It so happens that I recently bought a new barbecue grill brush and it just came in. So this grill brush here had really good reviews and it's a safe alternative because it uses nylon. Now with nylon grill brushes, you cannot clean the grill when it's hot. It will actually melt the bristles. You actually got to clean it when it's cold or slightly warm. But this one was reviewed really well. I can tell already that the bristles are nice and big, so let's see how well it does. So try to always keep your gas, propane grill, any grill, super clean. That's a really important step in barbecue grilling, and that's a very common mistake that a lot of new beginners make. All barbecue grills, I don't care how expensive they are, have hot zones and cold zones, or they're commonly called dead spots. This gas grill has a couple of dead spots. I know exactly where they are and I know how to use them to my advantage. And another common mistake is not understanding how to use zone cooking. Just like with anything else, just like with a charcoal grill or using the tools that's inside your kitchen. You want to use direct heat to sear and so forth, and indirect heat to finish off your food. Like for example, when I do a rotisserie chicken, the middle burners are off, but the 2 side burners are on. So the chicken has heat coming from both sides, and that helps me get a more even cook and keeps the chicken really juicy. Another big mistake that I see a lot of beginners making is not preheating your grill. Anytime you're going to cook anything, whether it's in a skillet or a barbecue grill, you have to preheat the object. You have to preheat the tool, or else you're not going to get a good sear. It's no different with the gas grill. Just because this grill can turn on instantaneously doesn't mean you have instantaneous heat. So preheating your grill is a crucial step for all barbecue grills, but people tend to ignore it with gas grills because of the convenience. Okay, now let's talk about a really important common mistake, and that's grease fires. Let's talk about prevention, and let's talk about how to put them out, because this is a really important thing for gas or propane grill owners. The only way to prevent a grease fire is to make sure that they're clean. A dirty grill will be your worst nightmare. You will not be able to go above low heat because it's gonna be prone to flare-ups, and then you're gonna have a fire. If I'm being honest, I never feel confident in leaving my gas grill unsupervised. Even if I've cleaned it, there's little pockets of grease buildup that can ignite at any moment. And because of the nature of design for gas grills, I can never leave them unattended for more than 5 or 10 minutes. With charcoal grills, it's a different story, and pellet grills, but every grill has its pros and cons. Okay, so let's talk about how you would put out a grease fire. Well, the important thing to remember is stay calm and never use water. Water will actually make a grease fire much, much worse. It's a good idea to keep some baking soda handy nearby. A lot of gas grills come with storage, and in my storage compartment, I keep a large box of baking soda. Baking soda will smother out grease fires. So throughout this video, I've been talking a lot about how gas grills are designed to always vent in air. And because of that design, closing the lid and turning off all the burners sometimes simply isn't enough. The grease fire will continue to burn and escalate. So you need something to smother out the oxygen, and baking soda works wonders. Also, a trick that I want to mention, but don't overdo it, don't abuse this. If you think that your gas grill is a bit too dirty, but you don't have enough time to clean it, and you want to cook something really quick, you can actually pour some baking soda in the grease spots of the tray that you think will be problem areas, and that will prevent them from flaring up. But don't overdo that because Eventually the baking soda will burn and it'll add to the problem. Remember, it's okay, don't panic, it happens to all of us. Grease fires just happen. And sometimes we forget to clean the grill, or maybe you're cooking something really greasy like lamb, and a flare-up happens, and then a grease fire happens. Keep your cool, stay calm, and keep a box of baking soda handy. Okay, now let's talk about some accessories that I highly recommend. We've already kind of mentioned this, but get yourself a good grill brush, a safe grill brush. Do not buy the cheapy ones where the bristles fall off. So many accidents happen every year with people accidentally swallowing those things because they get into their food, and it's very common with children. I also highly recommend a gas gauge with propane gas grills. Propane gas grills are expensive to buy and to maintain. So a $20, $25 gas gauge will tell you if you still have fuel in there and will help you plan accordingly. And then I really also highly recommend a smoke box so you can smoke some wood and get additional flavor. Me personally, I think that gas or propane gas grills are very clean burning and they taste very clean, but sometimes they lack flavor. And a smoke box to me is a necessary accessory to add in some of that flavor and give it more complexity. So which gas grills do I personally recommend? Well, this gas grill here is made by Monument Grills. And I've done several reviews on this grill, but it was given to me for free for an honest review. I've actually recently done a 6-month updated review, and I think this is a fantastic grill that definitely hits above its weight class. It has some really cool features like the clear view window, which really helps you see what you're cooking and how things are progressing. And then it just has this gorgeous stance. It's all stainless steel. It comes with LED lights. If you're interested, go check out that 6-month updated review, but I highly recommend this grill. I also highly recommend Weber gas grills. I think they're the benchmark that everybody designs to. They are pricey, but you are getting your money's worth. My previous gas grill before I switched to charcoal was actually a Weber Genesis or a Summit or whatever the higher model is, and it was fantastic. And I learned a lot on that grill, so it has a lot of emotional value to me. But those are the two brands that I'm familiar with. I can't speak for all gas grills. I'm sure there's a lot of great brands out there. I can only speak to the ones I personally used, which is this Monument Grills and the Weber that I previously had. And finally, I wanted to say congratulations on your new propane gas grill. And hopefully this video was informative and it helped you build up your confidence. That's it for me, guys. I'll catch you on the next one.